In this video, we're going to talk about and you're going to learn the difference between wheeling a trail bike and a full-blown 450 race bike. We're going to look for what's different and what's easier. Let's go. All right, so full disclaimer here, this isn't a how-to video. If you're wanting to learn how to wheelie, we've got a few different how to wheelie videos. You can search on the channel or we'll leave a link up here. You guys can check that out. But I will go over some of the techniques for you to understand the differences. The first thing that we're going to talk about is the setup. Basically, what speed are you coming in? What's the difference between the 450, and this is a TTR 125, by the way. How do you approach wheeling? We've got a lot of comments asking how to wheelie like a mid-sized trail bike, which is what this would fall under. And really the differences are pretty small in the setup. You're still rolling up at slow speeds, loading the brakes to compress the suspension, and unloading the brakes with throttle and clutch pop at the same time. That is the initial on both bikes, but the biggest difference is this takes a little more rev because it is a heavier bike compared to how much power it is. I think it's probably lighter, but the 450 bikes have so much power that it feels light and it also comes up really easy. So you just don't need that much pop, you don't need that much throttle, and you'll see that in the video here when we're talking about this, is that this takes a little more rev to get the front end up, but the nice thing is once you're up, this thing feels a little more planted. Also guys, check out our merch. It just dropped a couple weeks ago. It's doing awesome. I look forward to seeing all you guys in our sweet new merch at shopmxf.com. You can find the link in the description below. Your support helps this channel move, and so we greatly appreciate it. All right, the second piece we're going to talk about is kind of what's happening when the front wheel's up, okay? Again, the same techniques apply. We're still working a little bit of clutch and the rear brake and throttle to manage the height of the wheelie the whole time on both bikes. The difference is you can turn more throttle on this bike without as much reaction. Meaning if you crack the throttle, the front end's not coming up super quick, and in fact you need a little more throttle to get the bike to come back up. On the 450, it's almost like you're just keeping it at idle and managing clutch and brake, right? Because if you crack the throttle at all, it's abruptly coming up really quickly, and unless you have good wheeling skills, that is a little, makes you feel a little uneasy, makes you want to get that front end down really quick. What I will say, the same rule applies. The back brake is your savior. The clutch and throttle is what's making you go up and down with that back brake. The third thing that I'm going to talk about in the differences is how is the balance side to side on each bike. And what I feel is that it's a very similar feeling. So if you have gotten the wheelie down on the TTR 125, you're still using the hips and the wheel turning to kind of get the bike back underneath you. And what I mean by that is if you're starting to lean one way, a lot of times if you shift the hips the opposite way and turn the wheel, that thing will track back underneath you. Now the bike's going to turn a little bit on you, but it's still going to get you back in balance. And then you may have to do that the opposite direction to get back on track of where you're going. This same rule applies on both bikes. I feel that it's easier on the TTR 125 because there's less power, less reaction when you're hitting the throttle and the brakes. The fourth thing we're going to talk about is just the size of the bike. The wheelbase is much longer on the 450 than on this, so that makes it a little harder to pop up, okay? And then once you are popped up, it feels like the front end is quite a bit in front of you. So it kind of gives you that uneasy feeling, or like that you're really far off the ground, when in all reality, you're not much further than you are in this. It just gives you that perception. So it's more of a confidence thing. The best way to do it is if you can get your hands on one of these, learn how to wheelie on one of these, and then take it to a bigger race bike. Right, the bigger race bike is obviously a little harder to wheelie from my experience. So if you could start here where everything feels a little smaller, feels a little more controllable, and then move to the bigger bike, and there will be some trial and error there, it'll make you more comfortable in that transition from bike to bike. Race bikes are meant to be a race, so slow wheelies aren't necessarily what they're meant for. However, it's very good practice for your clutch skills, your throttle skills, modulation for your brake. It's real good practice drill. All right guys, I hope this helps. If you have a trail bike, I hope it helps. If you have a race bike, I hope it helps. If you did enjoy this video, we have plenty more. Don't forget to check out our Instagram, and we can hit like and subscribe down here. That helps the video move along. And we have a Patreon account where you can donate $1 to $20 a month to help support this channel and keep it moving forward. We'll see you next time.